Good afternoon from MWC Barcelona 2026. I'm here together with Caroline Mbugua, Senior Director, Public Policy and Communication at GSMA Africa. Hello, nice to meet you again.
Nice to see you again, and thanks for having me on the platform.
Always a pleasure. MWC in Barcelona, with a big presence of Africa, is all about how can we harmonize policy and regulation to move forward in our digital transformation process. One of your tools you developed is the Digital Africa Index. Can you tell us a bit more about it? What does it mean and how does it can help from a Pan-African perspective?
Thank you very much, and you ask a very good question because the region right now is focused on driving digitalization of African economies. This is clearly outlined in the African Union Digital Strategy and of course the different national strategies that have been developed. As a GSMA, one of our biggest strengths is to provide insights that will support a data-driven decision-making on policy reforms through recommendations that can be practical and implementable in a particular market. And how we have done this is the development of the Digital Africa Index. It's a platform that supports insights on the level of digitalization or digital readiness of a particular country and goes a step further to provide details of specific policy and regulatory interventions that could lead to accelerated digitalization. So it has a mix of two indices, the Digital Nations and Society Index that measures digitalization of digital consumer, digital government, and digital business. And it ranks between 0 and 100 for each and every country. And it goes a step further and provides the Digital Policy and Regulatory Index. And this has several pillars that now help you understand from a fiscal policy reform, what are the areas of reform that are required, from an infrastructure on matters, spectrum management, spectrum policy, different areas that would need to be given. So for example, do we have a spectrum roadmap in place that provides regulatory certainty to investors in a market? And it goes and also provide details around consumer affairs. Yeah? Do we have reporting lines where consumers can be able to air their views and thoughts on the service they're being provided? What level of quality of service is being provided in a particular country? Because for digitalization of the economy, there needs to be higher levels of quality of service. And of course, safety and trust of the service. So again, it scores the country from 0 to 100 and gives you an understanding of the different pillars and different levers you can pull to be able to now support, because the better you score in your digital policy and regulatory index, the better you score in the Digital Nations and Society Index and your overall Digital Africa Index. So that's essentially the value of the tool.
From a theoretical perspective, it sounds very simple, but don't you create a comparison where you, let's say, develop kind of a competition between countries, or how do you avoid it? How we use it as a benefit?
So the beauty about it is that we have seen a change in the perception or the focus of a lot of African policy leaders towards looking for opportunities of collaboration, looking for opportunities to learn from each other. And so the tool provides exactly that. You're able to do benchmarking where you look at it from a point of wanting to learn, wanting to do better, and picking up learnings that are easy to find, particularly with countries that are your peers, as opposed to initially where you'd be able to have to benchmark with other parts of the world that may not necessarily be very related to your market. But we bring insights that are now very ready to use, close to you, and provide that clarity that you need, comparing and benchmarking with countries that are closely related to the different countries. So we've seen a lot of positive response, and it's being used more of comparison, learnings, as opposed to competition.
So how can we create a harmonized policy and regulatory framework across Africa? What is needed except the political will?
So what is needed first is the insights. Where do we have the fragmentation? And who takes the action? So the Digital Africa Index provides you that. It provides you information of where the fragmentation is. So for example, one country will have a spectrum roadmap in place, another one would not. So it highlights those fragmentation of the different policies and now brings it to board. And allows for now an informed discussion about policy harmonization. Because for you to harmonize policies, there has to be an existence of, so what exactly requires to be harmonized? And of course, engagements with institutions such as the African Union Commission provides the opportunity where such insights can be used to go into policy-making process that can provide a harmonized approach in the implementation of the same. Of course, factoring in the local nuances and the differences of the different countries on the continent.
MWC Barcelona here, African Pavilion. Many ministers around to talk about how can they drive forward digital transformation. So what are your key takeaways from this 4 days packed of meetings and engagement?
So for me, MWC Barcelona has been an eye-opener because there's a lot of development that has gone into driving technology evolution. A lot of the exhibitors are already showing solutions around AI, how AI is impacting verticals, manufacturing, the retail sector, aviation sector, ideas that a lot of the times would have been just, an imagination, but it's coming to reality. For me, this was an eye-opener because on the African continent, our biggest challenge that we have is usage gap, where a majority of our continent, over 900 million, are still not connected to mobile broadband services. So it means that solutions are only left for a select few, about 24% or 28% that are already connected. It gave me a renewed purpose of accelerating adoption of digital services on the continent to be able to unlock the opportunities such technological advancements can provide for the continent. Of course, ensuring that we are driving our policies that would support smartphone adoption on the continent, because it's a key ingredient in driving these technological advancements. The world is already talking about 6G. Africa needs to step up, and Africa needs to push for us not to be left out of this revolution that is currently going on, because right now, technology is the key to economic development. And we have seen that in countries that have been actually embraced the digitalization of their economies in terms of driving the development that's needed.
So we can remain optimistic.
Very optimistic.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
It's always a pleasure being on the platform. Thank you.
There was TechAfrica News from MWC Barcelona. You can find more on techafricanews.com.